What does a Stone Age village or Stone Age house look like? Almost everyone we meet can answer this question with subjective certainty. Since 19th century research, the knowledge people assume to have is based mostly on images or projections in psychological terms. These are through ethnology, through types of archaeology that are in the media, and through the standard method of comparing ethnological examples available in our cultural memory. These images are even somewhat encouraged these days by audience-oriented economic interests. An important role of our museum and pedagogic work is to critically assess and to check the validity of these images through practical experiments and trials within the framework and model Stone Age Village at the Stone Age Park Dithmarschen. But first, here's some basic information about the Stone Age Park in Albersdorf. The Stone Age Park Dithmarschen in Albersdorf, in the county of Dithmarschen, is an archaeological open-air museum that integrates the surrounding landscape. Since 1997, the park has been developed on a plot of land over 40 hectares large. With the help of a scientific committee, an experience-oriented educational concept was worked out for the expansion of the outdoor park area. This was realised in stages from the end of 2009 to the end of 2012. Two newly built Stone Age house models in original dimensions according to the dig discoveries in Schleswig-Holstein were erected in cooperation with the archaeologists of Schleswig-Holstein. In order to furnish the Stone Age house, an array of quintessential models were chosen and developed from the spectrum of high probability options. The models built include Neolithic walls, floors, separating walls, seating, looms, ovens, millstones, doors, interior furnishings, stoves, storage spaces for food and supplies, and doorsteps. The results included an area dedicated to sacrifices, with a boardwalk and a wooden platform by a newly created pond. The pond area also has an erosion simulation where this provable phenomenon of the Neolithic period and of the Middle Ages can be seen. The purpose is to convey archaeological research results. The Stone Age Park aims to teach the public about the relationship between the natural environment and the development of the land. It also wishes to gain public support for the protection of our natural and cultural inheritance, which is less abundant today. The Stone Age Park Dithmarschen attempts to teach people in a way that integrates theory, practice, intellect and feelings. The park has 9 original archaeological monuments under the mission statement in relation to cultural landscape. The Stone Age Park is part of the Archaeological Ecological Centre Albersdorf, the AOZA, a beneficiary limited organisation, which also consists of the Museum of Archaeology and Ecology in Dithmarschen, which has original on-site artefacts. The park regularly supports archaeological and historical research of the countryside. Examples of this are historical countryside research of the Institute of Ecosystem Research at the University of Kiel, among others Rees 2005, pollen analysis Dörfler 2004, and excavations of large stone graves in the region and of earthworks at Dijksknol near Albersdorf in cooperation with the Institute of Ancient and Early History of the University of Kiel, within the framework of the multi-year project called Early Monumentality, sponsored by the DFG, Müller 2009, Dibburn and Hage 2010. Landscape development. This is an attempt to develop and design a Neolithic landscape taking into considerations the species, population and density of plants, and of course the use of the landscape from about 5,000 years ago. Of course this is a long-term and ongoing process. The Stone Age Park Dithmarschen strives to make it possible for groups of people, whether it be adult, children or school groups, to have direct contact with ancient monuments and their proper Stone Age cultural landscapes. These include old forms of living in settlement, old breeds of domesticated animals, and much more, which can offer perspectives into past ways of life. Old breeds of domesticated animals graze the meadows of the park. In the medium term, a new exhibitory educational centre is being planned for the entrance area of the Stone Age Park. This will replace the current museum rooms housing the permanent exhibit. The Stone Age Park in Albersdorf has implemented a practical and a methodical program called Education for Sustainable Development. It can result in elevated respect for physical work and takes timely dimensions into consideration. In combination with ethnology, this imparting of archaeological themes allows new access to the meaningful, basic questions of existence, which are also significant to modern mankind. Since the beginning of the project, various programs, press releases and events for different target groups have taken place. The museum aims to be dynamic by regularly expanding or newly equipping exhibits, ensuring variety and attractiveness of program activities that can be booked at any time and offering special events. Additionally, we offer around 2 or 3 new educational programs for various interest groups per year. To make room for these, we remove attractions which were less successful or popular. Through a, when possible, institutionalized exchange of information with external partners, the connection to research for themes relevant to the museum should always be guaranteed. Research on a museum's own collection or on local and regional topics is desirable to enhance the museum's profile. At the Stone Age Park there are, for example, cooperation with various institutions at the universities of Kiel and Hamburg that have existed for years. These are also very helpful for the evaluation and improvement of the educational and scientific work of our institution. Each educational event consists of a hands-on and an experience-oriented part. These offers take place at the mostly authentic problem-oriented learning environment of the Stone Age village and include an instructive introduction by the Stone Age curator and a practical constructive experience for the participant. Through these programs at the Stone Age Park, which deal with specifically conceived themes, the participants are meant to improve their personal competencies in professional skills, method competency, social competency, as well as self-competence. All these competencies are key competencies for the Educate for Sustainable Development theme. With different types of tools and raw materials that were typical of the time, the Stone Age Park Dithmarschen presents the daily work of Stone Age people in terms of labour and production in the most authentic way possible. Pedagogically acceptable copies of tools and equipment are also made, all of which can make the historical relationship of life and nature more easily understood. Grasping and understanding are some of the primary concepts in terms of information transfer. All of the sessions are practical and hands-on and are tailored to age-appropriate difficulty levels to suit children of all ages. By offering the right kind of motivation before the start of a session, children will most likely feel that they succeeded during the programs. The learning is meant to be cooperative, participatory and self-organised as possible. The personnel of the museum, both full-time and voluntary, are always the face of the institution to the outside world and need to be trained and motivated as such. Training should be based on specialised knowledge in the subject area, and this should regularly include current research results as well as competencies in dealing with visitors, for example, conflict management, communications or security exercises. As well as the museum personnel organising seminars for themselves, external subject knowledge should be added, and requests for further education or training should also be taken into consideration in order to be able to meet these standards. This newly learned subject knowledge, combined with efficient and all-encompassing communication within the institution, can increase the general motivation of the entire museum staff and can also help to generate new ideas. To secure an ongoing quality of content and attractiveness to visitors in the future, regular evaluations of work and educational programs at the Stone Age Park are carried out by way of dialogues between the visitors and staff. The Stone Age Park has obtained several certificates or seals of quality, which are also highly significant as they guarantee standards and validity of performance for the visitor. The standards for receiving particular certificates can serve as corrective feedback and as a source of ideas for the staff. Every museum offers something special either through its collection, its own theme or through its connection to the region. It is the museum's objective in both its exhibit and in the PR work to enable the visitor to discover and recognise how special and unique the museum actually is. Additionally, this also means that on particular occasions, something unexpected should be offered. This should be something that the stakeholders and operators of the institution initiate themselves. In the future, museums will have a great potential to serve as not only museums but, for example, as forums for societal discussion or social meeting places for older people in rural areas. The principle of quality service is connected to the different work areas in the institution and is the all-round motto in everything we do. The individual areas achieve this through a structurally conceptualized basis, the liveliness and variety of how we convey information, and the way the employees are integrated into the development of the museum. In conclusion, we can say that the most important ingredients for the success of the Albesdorf Stone Age Park are a clear and scientifically based foundation, persistence during the plan realization, cooperation with others, an openness to try innovative approaches, and the enthusiasm and commitment of those involved, both for the topic in general and our institution in particular.